Welcome to the first ever episode of the Embracing Magick Podcast with me, Steph, and my beautiful co-hosts, Toni and Lizzy. How are you girls?
Excited.
Wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Amazing. So today we're going to be talking all about our journeys into witchcraft, where we all started and where we're at today. So Toni, I have never actually had this conversation with you before. Where did it all start for you?
It's a very personal question, Steph. At least buy me a drink or something first. Bit rude. So I don't think I've ever told anyone this at all, to be honest. I think, like most young adults, when you're kind of like searching for your community and where you feel like you fit in, I was trying on lots of different things. So, you know, I was brought up Christian. I was in Church of England school, went to church on Sundays, got sent to Bible camp during summer.
Oh, wow.
And then sort of like when I came through my more rebellious years, I thought I was an atheist. Then I went through a stage of thinking I was a pantheist, you know, being in awe of nature and stuff like that, but not really having any religious or spiritual beliefs. And it wasn't really until I started to discover witchcraft that felt like the thing that fit.
Yeah.
Mostly because when I was brought up, you know, like going and staying with my grandparents a lot in Dorset. Dorset's obviously really rural and beautiful, and they always grew their own vegetables and everything, and they were really hands-on with making sure that they made me and my sisters come outside and like harvest vegetables. So we felt really like connected to the land, which was an amazing way to grow up. And then, just kind of like started to learn a bit about witchcraft, you know, through the 90s with all of those big films, you know, the craft, practical magic,
practical magic,
hocus pocus, all of that stuff. Obviously, that's all like, you know, silly, but, you know, learning more about it and finding people that I felt like I shared belief systems with. That's kind of where I found my community. I kind of thought I found it in music because I work in music. That's my full-time job. But really my community are the witches. And so I found some really inspiring people online, built my first big altar probably in my early 20s, really freaked out my boyfriend at the time. He's now my husband, so that worked out. But, you know, that's when I started to feel a really big spiritual connection with witchcraft, you know, because I would change the candle colours on my altar. I would put, you know, seasonal foliage out. It's where I did all of my ancestral veneration. So I class myself as a ancestral witch. So that's really kind of where my spiritualism comes from, is working with my ancestral spirits. And that's probably the most expansive and profound feeling that I've had in a spiritual sense, was when I started working with an altar space. And really, sorry if I'm going on a little bit long about this, but it was during COVID when I started to be more vocal online about it. And then all these women started to find me, you know, all of these women across the world.
Just drawn in.
Yeah, well, I think it's just because, you know, started to be a bit more visible online about it and sharing my practice. I mean, that's how we reconnected, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you reached out and you said, can you just give me some
advice,
book recommendations? Yeah. And I was like, oh my God.
Yes, more people.
Yes. You know, yes, I can. And that was really exciting. And I think that's really kind of where it's grown from, is just, you know, being visible with it online, because it's a bit scary in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely.
Finding the online community, and then obviously growing this beautiful coven space in which, you know, I went from being a solitary practitioner to then having a really, really amazing connection with a big group of women in which we now sort of like are forging our path together and learning together. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's been
really
such an incredible experience with the coven, I think, over the last year. What was I going to say? I was going to ask you something, going back to like where it all started for you and like growing up. My brain's already melting.
That's all right.
First ever episode, brain's already melting.
Thank you.
Well, I was also going to say, actually, I can totally relate to like starting to set up altar spaces and things like that, and definitely my fiance has been a bit like, what is this? I remember, so last year we did yeah, totally your fault. I remember last year we did a ceremony for Astara, and we painted, obviously, the Astara symbol on the egg, which I still have.
You're gonna say.
I forgot to plant my egg, so definitely cursed my egg. And now we're coming up to Astara again, so totally messed that one up. But, you know, bad witch over here. But yeah, I can totally relate to, obviously, having all these like things coming into the shared space, and being like a little bit freaked out.
The partner not really getting it, not 100% being on board.
No, just like, sorry, what is it you're doing now?
Yeah, I'm a witch now.
I think a lot of the like symbols and things can look kind of scary to other people.
Yeah.
When they're not really, but
I mean, I kind of like that personally.
I know
I like intimidating people.
I'm enjoying that as well. I'm really enjoying
It's got real don't fuck with me energy.
Yeah. Do not come near.
It's almost like protective in a way.
It is. It has like a protective field around you, doesn't it? It has this sort of, I'm really getting into that as well. But I resonate with so much of what you said, because I was brought up Catholic.
Me too.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, I used to always sit in church and think, I don't get it. Maybe when I'm older. And then I'd get a bit older and I'd go, I don't get it. Maybe
I really
when I'm
like
older.
the graves.
I really like the graves.
The architecture's wonderful.
Do you know what? Having said that, when I had my baptism, there's like actual like video proof of this. I had mine a little bit older, and there's a video of me screaming when he was putting the water on my head. I was like, "Don't touch me!
Don't touch my soul!"
I'm not with you, people. So totally relate to being brought up in Catholic, and I went to Catholic schools as well. But it never really resonated with me, and a lot of like the religion aspect of it kind of angered me in a way.
There is some, sorry to interrupt you, but there is something lovely about it, and that the lovely side for me is the community aspect.
Yes.
And you do feel like a connectedness with people in a church, but there is just a lot of really ugly stuff that goes with it.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, even so I'm half Maltese. And obviously going to Malta every year, we have these like amazing community celebrations every year, which is celebrating the Catholic Church. But it's incredible how the community comes together to celebrate. So I totally agree with you that like there are some positive aspects of it. But
community, I think you're so right. Like my family are still very Catholic, and my mum goes to church every Sunday, and it gives her so much. So I so understand for her, it gives her such a sense of purpose, and it fulfills her, and the community are all around her all the time, and that is so amazing. I think I really envied that. So when I came into Lunar Wild Coven, I was like, wow, I found my community. Like, I found my space. And this resonates, and it makes so much sense. I feel like, I was saying this to Steph yesterday, I feel like an insane puppy at the moment. I'm running around all the different things, like, oh, this resonates, that resonates. Oh, I love this, I love that. I'm trying it all.
Yeah, you're still trying it all on.
And trying it all on and go, sometimes I'm like, definitely a hearth witch. And then other times I'm like, definitely a lunar witch. And then other times I'm like, definitely. But it's because I'm like, I connect to that. I love that. And I sort of feel, I'm so excited because I feel for the first time I'm like, I found what resonates. And I'm like, oh, this is such a relief.
So Lizzy, you're fairly new.
Very new.
I'd say fairly new. I don't think you're very new now.
Fairly new.
But you're fairly new to the crafts.
Fairly new.
So where did it all kind of start for you?
So interesting. I just listened to it. So interesting. So when I was young, I was always in woods, like running around in woods, like eating mud pies and being like making spells.
That's what our childhood was like before we had the internet.
Yeah, running around outside,
wild and
eating mud
and going, here you are. And so I was always like, and they used to call me the wild kid. Oh, there she is. Here's the wild kid. I used to have a cape I'd made, like run around.
A cape?
Yeah, I had a cape.
That's incredible.
I used to tie it around my neck and run around the garden. Whee! And I had massive imagination, like 3 imaginary friends who were called Patty, Cocky and Jim. Like, what the hell is that all about? And then, so I was always... It was always in me. And then very similar to both of you, actually, I went into acting. So you both are in music, but I went into acting, and I thought those were my people. And actually, again, same thing. I realised, I was like, this isn't quite this is still not my people. This is still not my.
Yeah.
And then it was about 2 years ago. I had a big life change. My father passed away, and that was when I started. And I think it stems from the trauma, and then connecting into witchcraft. I think it was that massive real shock to the system, and then starting to think about connection and living with intention and
healing.
It's very interesting actually, because a lot of people find witchcraft through trauma. It's a lot, and that's not how I found it at all.
No.
So it's and I think specifically with how difficult life is at the moment and how it's been through the pandemic and everything like that, I think that, you know, people are experiencing such a high level of like anxiety and depression and everything, and they're on their path to healing. And yeah, I think that's the majority generally, but I really didn't find it through trauma. It was just very interesting.
Yeah.
It was just a very organic thing for me, having two planty grandparents.
Two planty grandparents.
Two green thumbs.
Yay! Yeah, it was so that, and then it was again, just like I remember Steph launched Lunar Wild, and I sort of completely fell in love with your brand. I was really like, oh my God, I so connect to this brand. I see what she's doing. And then when the Coven launched, I just said to you, I'm joining, like immediately.
I remember you messaging me like, when can I join?
When can I join? When can I get in there? And then same as you, I found that all the women in the Coven are so lovely. It's so inclusive. It's so kind. There's no judgment. It's, you know, we're all in it together. And it's really beautiful.
I joined as well. I was a member to begin with. And I was like, I don't know, like I want to, but like, do I have time? And then I got this like FOMO thing that if I didn't join, I'd miss out. And so I signed up as well. And then like, I don't know, within like a week or two, you were just like, I think you need to do this with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was hoping you'd say that.
I was like, I think you should come and do some workshops and help me find people and stuff. And it's been an incredible
I don't think anyone realised how it was going to explode the way it has.
Like you think was it 12 people to begin with that joined? I can't remember now.
I can't remember now.
Was that Diddy?
15 or something? Yeah, something.
Yeah.
And it's what now? 100? Over 100?
Over 100, yeah.
100 and nearly 30, I think.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's been such an incredible experience for me. Obviously, launching it and with no expectations at all, and kind of thinking, oh, you know, I hope like, you know, 5 people join, and then having like it growing the way it has, but also the feedback that we've had from members as well has been really lovely.
So lovely.
But anyway, we're not talking about the Coven.
Yeah.
We're talking about our journey.
Us about your journey.
Yeah.
Well, sort of the same as what you were saying. Teenage years. I think I, you know, did a few spells and I had some books. And one of the books I really wish I could find. It was like a tiny, small green one, and it kind of looked really old, but no idea where that's gone. But yeah, I did some spells and then kind of moved away from it. I had a few traumatic things that happened in my teenage years, and I kind of got pulled away and dived into music, I suppose, kind of similarly to you. And then I think it was just like a gradual thing. Like, I think stemming from me and my partner lived in Australia for a bit. We spent so much time in nature. And I think I took that back to the UK, that need of being surrounded by nature. And it was just a gradual, like I started doing blogging and I started getting into sustainability, and I started writing blogs about wild plants and foraging.
I remember, you were really into it.
And then it was just a gradual process from that. And then when the pandemic hit, my anxiety went through the roof.
Same.
And I think that's when I really started properly practicing, and obviously learning a lot. And I really felt that witchcraft really resonated with me. And obviously it's been a huge journey of discovering, you know, what my path actually is. And I feel like, you know, as a witch, you're constantly learning.
I was literally thinking that while you were saying that. Like, it's you're never an expert.
No.
You know, you're always, my opinions on things are developing and changing all the time. They're evolving, and I'm realizing that, you know, certain things don't fit with me at all, and some things I'm so drawn to and I love, and it's quite exciting because it's just like you never really know when another door's going to open. You're going to be like, wow,
I've stepped in now.
And I actually I hated school.
I hated school.
I hated school.
Adore learning. And I adore learning about witchcraft and different, you know, modalities and within the craft. Is modality the right word?
So I mean, we both nodded and went, yes, modality.
But yeah, I still get so excited about it as well, learning new things and also learning from all of you, and people in the coven as well. Like, everyone brings something to the table, and I think that's why it's so amazing to be surrounded by such awesome people. Really. And that is a reason why I created the coven as well, is because I wanted an inclusive space, because I felt like it didn't exist on the internet. You know, like I feel like witch talk can be quite toxic.
Do not get me started. Spicy Toni is ready to come out.
Come on, Spicy Toni. I like a bit of spice here.
And yeah, I wanted this inclusive space where people didn't feel scared to ask a question and you know, improve and learn and grow.
Totally.
There's something very special about the group of people that started as well, because you and I have spoken about this before, and you said, I don't think that I could replicate this. I couldn't duplicate it again.
No.
You know, there's something really unique about the group that it started with and the people that have been attracted to it since then. Because I've never been in such a space with women that are so supportive, you know, because we have this horrible thing in society where people are always trying to one-up each other all the time, and they're trying to take the opportunities and trample over each other. You know, it's a very capitalist thing. And that's not what the group of women that we work with are like at all. They are such beautiful souls, really open with their, you know, if you think about it, this has been running for a year now, right? And there have been no arguments ever.
Nope. No.
There's been not one argument in the group.
No cattiness.
No. No spicy. Well,
no spicy.
Apart from Spicy Toni. I feel like that's going to be your nickname.
I'm actually a spicy witch.
Hashtag spice witch.
Spicy witch. What do you call yourself? Potato witch.
Can you explain that a little bit for us?
I think because I'm not having a go at myself, because I am spherical in shape, but it just felt...
Oh, Lizzy!
Oh, no, everyone's going to say, no, but I just thought it was funny.
You're beautiful.
Bless you. I remember Toni saying to me, actually, she was like,
"This is not."
I just clicked onto like the member thing for the first time, and Lizzy says potato witch,
and I love potatoes, so it made sense to me.
I love potatoes.
I just thought it was. I don't know what happened to me in that moment. I was like, I just call myself the potato witch.
I think also just because people take themselves so seriously, don't they?
Yeah, I think that was.
And I you know, I do online, but actually in person, I'm so stupid and so silly.
Yeah, me too.
You know, and I absolutely love that you're just really like open and just like really like.
I do feel like
jester.
You,
well,
Lizzy,
me too, babes.
I do feel like you, Lizzy, bring out the silliness in me.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I love that.
But you and I were talking about this. We love to make people laugh.
Yes,
that's a big.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're a solar witch, and I know that you're very, very connected to the moon, which we all are because witches, and it's beautiful. But you're a massive ball of light. Like you are don't cry, but you have such warmth and sunny energy, and I think that's
so nice. I've never heard of that. See, I've never
heard of it. You should check it out. You should look into it. I remember speaking to Steph and being like, I think you're a lunar witch, mate. And she was just like,
lunar witch.
Yeah, I think you are.
I'm gonna Google that right now.
Yeah, you should have a look at the traits of a solar witch and the kind of work that they do. But it just you radiate sunny warmth, basically.
I totally agree.
Oh, I'm getting a boat choke.
Don't cry.
I'm not.
Let's bring the tears.
Thank you. That's so lovely, because I feel I say this, I'm fairly new, not new, I'm fairly new, but I'm learning so much. I just feel like a sponge at the moment. I'm just going in, like, taking it all on. I get so inspired.
Do you have Leo in your sign? Is it, you're a Leo moon, aren't you?
I'm rising.
And
Wow,
yeah, hello.
double Leo.
So solar witch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Not a
obviously
fire.
it's for you to decide, but that's the energy that I'm
Ooh,
getting
I'm
from
gonna
you.
look at that. That's delicious. I'm going to look at that.
But for me, like, I really like to pigeonhole people as well. So because
Well, yeah, because we had a conversation, because for a while I called myself an eclectic witch, just because as you know, you get so interested in loads of different things, and I still am. But I
Same.
think Lunar Witch really just resonates with me.
well, you started looking into it, didn't you? And you're like,
And I
yeah,
was like,
I tick all of these boxes. This is exactly what I'm doing. And
Not
then you
that
spent a long time creating like a lunar altar.
No, I know.
It's
But
beautiful.
what was weird about that whole thing was I had been basically practicing as a Lunar Witch that entire time. And I had all these experiences, like connecting to the moon in visualizations. And yeah, I was just like, it just made so much sense to me. And that it was that, like you were saying about another door opening, that's what it felt like. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, okay, here we go. I can really focus and hone in on my craft now.
Well, that's how I felt about leading the Samhain ritual and doing ancestral work. And I mean, I was always really keen on like working with the dead and working with spirits, and like, you know, my craft kind of like teeters on the dark side. You know, some a place that some people aren't comfortable with. I feel deeply comfortable with the shadows.
But let's clarify what dark side is.
Well, shall we? I feel like that's a subject where we might.
Are we
disagree.
opening another can of worms?
Well, we've been talking about the devil.
Yeah, but we're not talking about black magic, basically. We're talking about
Shadow.
shadow work and
Sure.
We'll say no more.
Sure.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, no. So you know, with everything, there needs to be light and dark, and some people are more drawn to the light work, and some people are more drawn to the shadow work, and that is the working through the trauma, working through you know, inner child trauma, and you know, working through grief.
Yeah,
and,
that's
and
how I really resonate.
yeah.
Really
So and you know, there's a lot of crossover, I think, in lots of different witchcrafts, but I think generally, it's not normal to specialize in lots of different subjects. And actually,
Snaps.
you know, before we go on to that witch talk subject, you know, it's a really big red flag for me when I see people say, oh, you know, I'm a sigil witch, and I'm a sea witch, and I'm a geek, you know, I'm a plant, I do plant magic, you know, which actually I do, to be fair. But I think that, you know, it takes a lifetime to learn about these subjects, and actually find the thing that you're drawn to and dedicate your time to learning that subject, because that's how you're really going to develop your craft. If you continue to be stuck in this sort of almost like teenager-y kind of like, I'm attracted to everything and I want all of it all the time, which is absolutely important. You should do that and find out what works for you. But then
hone in.
Yeah.
Hone in.
Hone in on that
hone
subject
in.
that really, you know, makes you feel something and like sparks that joy in you, and work on refining that.
100% agree.
So what would you say to someone who was just getting into witchcraft? What advice would you have for them?
Oh, you know, the first thing I'm going to say is don't buy everything they tell you to buy on the internet. Don't buy anything at all. Look at what's around you. But for me,
That's a whole nother episode.
That is another episode, honeys. Not today, but
tune in next time.
Toni shuds about witches online. I think that education is the most important thing. And so I would dedicate your time to finding teachers that are researched and actually really understand what they're talking about, and they're not just going, oh, it's all about intentions, man, it's all about the good vibes and the attracting positivity. And I don't believe in any of that shit. I believe in information that's been passed down and has been properly recorded. And you know, for instance, there's a really good book that I like called Protection Magic. I think that's a really good starting place for witches, and it's by Jason Miller, and he's really focused on, you know, learning from the, you know, predecessors, you know, witches that came before us. And that might be a bit of a snobby view, but I think that that's really important. And I worry about the amount of misinformation that's spread on social media.
Yeah.
All the misconception.
There's a lot of that.
Messing with magic that has no, basis, no fact,
Totally.
it's just all made up, really, for the aesthetic. And I know it's very aesthetic in here and beautiful, but there's a lot of knowledge in these big brains now.
Maybe in yours.
I know, I'm like,
not today. Not after those few nightcaps last night.
I love it.
What was your... Hang on, I've got some notes on my phone.
Oh, noties.
Organised.
Very organised. Notey.
She is a lunar witch.
She's a lunar witch, yeah.
So what was your first experience in magic that made you want to pursue it?
Yours was probably more recent. I can't remember mine, so you take that one.
Well, do you know, it's funny, we were talking about this. So I think I've always had the magic. Didn't quite really. Yeah. So I've been doing a little bit of research into the family tree, and my family originate from the Isle of Tiree, which is a little Scottish island. And there's a lot
you do look a bit Scottish, actually.
Yeah,
it's like beautiful, like curly red hair.
Red hair. Love an iron brew. And so I've been doing a bit of digging. I actually got in touch with Edinburgh University and their like witchcraft department, because I'm like, tell me more, give me more. But my great grandmother had something called, now it's really strange, it's called fae, but it's not fairies. It's fae was described as an inner feeling, an inner knowing, or predicting something's going to happen. And I've had this a couple of times over my life, and I think I've always had that feeling or that intuition or that knowing. I've always had the magic, and then it really came about, funnily enough.
Is that how you made your partner disappear? That you
I did. I went
anymore?
like, poof, off he goes.
Could you just be really tidy and like clean everything up and take it away and piss off?
Like, excuse me, I'm just going to predict. Are you going to leave? You are. Excellent. Well done.
Take everything and get out.
Take everything and goodbye. And I had this moment. I've had a couple of moments, but one that really came to mind, and that's when I started to tune back in. I was on tour in America, and a friend of mine had gone through a really awful breakup. She was really traumatized, and she hadn't spoken to the guy in about a year and a half. And we were sat together in Colorado, and we were looking over a beautiful mountain range. And I turned to her. It was like a knowing, and I went, "He's gonna contact you. He's gonna contact you either today or tomorrow." And she was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Adam, he's gonna talk to you. He's gonna speak to you." She went, "Okay," and he did. So that afternoon, he messaged her. And so she came to me, she's like, "How did you know that?" And I was like, "I don't know," but I had a feeling. So I've always had fae, I think. I've always had this magic and like knowing of things coming. So that was a really big moment. And I think that was also another thing where I started to like quietly do magic on my own, because I was worried about what everyone was going to say to me. Like, what are you doing? Why are you? Yeah. But I was like starting to really just gently feel I was going to like womb awakening ceremonies and all these things all on my own, like no one around. And that was a piece of magic I felt that I went, oh wow, okay, there's something
there that you need to explore.
You need to go in and have a.
So it's like a gradual.
Yeah, it was like that was like an awakening.
Yeah.
Because I think I've had it over my life, but I've gone, I'm a bit scared of that. I don't really know.
What is that?
What is that? And I know people hear things and see things, but mine's a feeling. It's like a...
Sometimes I get smells.
Wow.
Like I can smell.
What kind of smells?
Oh, no, there's just... a lot of cackling on this podcast. There was one day I was just sat in the house and I could just smell cigarette smoke.
Whoa.
It was really weird. And that no one around me or outside was smoking.
Wow.
Really
You
strange.
have like a really, really keen sense of smell. Like you're really in tune. You know that back in the day, the sort of like the head of the tribes would often be people that had really acute sense of smells, because they would be able to tell what forage food was poisonous or not. So people that have really like enhanced sense of smell, are healers.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. I felt like it was like an ancestor that was
Could be, yeah.
with me. It was kind of a strange feeling.
Wow.
But yeah.
That's amazing.
What is that called? It's clair something.
Clairvoyance.
Is it clairvoyance?
No,
The smell?
I don't know. No, I don't think it is.
No.
Wow.
If you know in the comments, let us know.
Yeah,
Please
we're still
tell us.
learning.
Yeah.
Still educating ourselves. Yeah, it's funny how these things happen in our lives and you really have a real sense of magic. Because I remember when my granddad passed away, and he was like the absolute, like, just the most wonderful man that I've ever met. My husband and I actually got married on what would have been his birthday, the 13th of October, sort of like in honor of him. But the day that he was buried, when we had his funeral, we were sort of like around his grave, and there were just like all of these butterflies just like looping around the gravestone.
Wow.
And it wasn't just me that noticed, like me, my little sister and my mum noticed. And it was just so strange, just like coming and doing a loop around us and then doing a loop around the gravestone. And it just kept happening. And I was just, they say butterflies hold the souls of people that have passed over. And I just felt like his presence there so strongly.
Wow.
And that was one of those moments where I was just like, I'm feeling that magic. I'm feeling that spiritual connection. And it feels really special.
Yeah.
It stuck with me.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's amazing. I was just going to ask, in your daily life, what role does witchcraft play for you? Like, in terms of like, when you wake up, what would be the first thing that you would do? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
So do you know, I was just thinking of that. You know, you shared a post actually ages ago of like a morning ritual.
Yeah.
That really stuck with me. There was a post Toni shared about connecting to your daily witchcraft, and it was just really simple. It was like, stir your intentions into your tea, light a candle, pull a card. There was this, and I try and do that every morning because it helps me, sort of grounds me, and then it just keeps me reminded
it's the
of it.
Simple things as well. I think the simple things, like just lighting a candle.
Ritual-based living. Yeah.
Ritual-based living.
Yeah. I mean, I don't start my day with lighting a candle, but it is something that I've become really like something I really like to do in the morning through the darker months in particular. It just brings that kind of like warmth to a room when it's like really grey and grim outside. But the things that I actually do is I pretty much always start my day with a cup of coffee, and I nearly always add vanilla essence to it, because the extraction process with vanilla is really long and slow, and obviously like it's got brandy as well, but there's something it's very expensive, and it feels very special to put a tiny bit of like vanilla essence into my coffee. So that feels like putting a bit of magic in there anyway. So that's something that I always do, and I always think about what I want to do with my day as I do that. And for me, drinking coffee feels like a really important ritual. It's really luxurious, but I always put music on in the morning to set the tone for my day as well, being someone that's so connected with music, as I'm sure you both are, being musical people. But always having to go for a walk as well, having to get that like sunlight on my face immediately, go outside. You don't have to be walking through woods or fields or by the beach or whatever, but to just walk around my neighborhood and see all these natural plants growing everywhere. There's pretty much always rosemary, there's always cleavers, there's always lavender, and just getting those kind of like fresh smells. It's like really sensory. So that's really important for me. Like, I've got a dog. We've all got dogs. You know, take our pooches out, like, and really just embrace that kind of like fresh air on your face, sunlight on your skin, and just getting away from screens and just getting that natural sunlight in your eyes. That feels like a really, really important ritual to me. And then like other little ones will just be like pulling a tarot card. I'm really, really into my tarot. And picking a crystal to wear for the day. I pretty much always pick a talisman to wear.
So you pick different ones?
Yes, yeah. So I don't, because I've noticed you stick with one. You're very committed. You're monogamous with your crystals. I'm not. So I literally have quite a few talismans that have been made in different ways by different people. They're pretty much all been made by people that I know. And I pick one based on how I'm feeling that day. And I literally will sit with it all day, sort of like as I'm sort of pondering life or trying to get through really difficult tasks. Well. So I'll hold my crystal. And, you know, I don't really like what's it called, like costume jewelry, because it holds no energy for me.
No,
It holds nothing. So I've really let go of all of that stuff, and I now only have stuff that makes me feel like it's powerful, or it's lending some kind of energy to me. And that for me feels like a really important thing to do every day.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
I'm going to be like helping you expand your like jewel collection now.
Gosh.
Always rubbing up on you.
I feel like Toni just wants me to just buy stuff all the time.
No, you don't need to buy anything. No,
just me.
Just you.
Yeah.
You spend your money.
Not you guys, just me. Yeah, so I think I start my day by so now I've got my beautiful moon lamp on my altar.
It is beautiful.
I start my day now by going into my space and putting the lamp on and putting some candles on and all my little lights and stuff, and really setting the tone for my day. And I've really felt that just really just makes a difference to how my day starts. So yeah, it's so nice to have that beautiful altar space now set up.
Yeah.
But it feels sacred, doesn't it? Because you really took your time building it as well.
Yeah.
You know, and you built it with such a clear picture for what you wanted it to be like. And that's your spiritual space now.
Yeah.
To go
100%.
past that and light a candle and kind of like do that slight honouring, whether it's honouring yourself or honouring the sacred space, it's significant.
Definitely.
There's something in you as well when you do it, when you connect in. There's like you feel a transformation inside you, like because you've given time to yourself and the space. So there is like a
Well, it's locking into
calming,
intention, isn't it? You know, because it's not like living life in a elusive. Elusive or evasive, one of those ways, you know, like you have no control over your life. And actually when you lock in the morning and you're like, this is what you know, taking control, it's empowering.
Totally.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm talking a lot, I'm sorry.
No, it's really nice. Carry on.
Not at all dominating.
You dominate, spicy Toni.
Have you set up an altar space yet? I was going to call you Toni then, Lizzy.
Because you always had like a one that you created for a ritual, like a tray base or tabletop one.
So it was really, and doing the lovely altar like workshop we did made me go, because every time we do a ceremony, I would create one. I'd go, I'm going to create. Like I did a big in bulk once. I did one for Bridget and I love her. So I made and then I thought, actually, I do need to station myself. I think I need to when you were saying, look, I've created this altar. I was like, yes. Okay, I need to.
It is quite inspiring,
it's really inspiring
to see other people's spaces.
Yeah, well, that's what I hoped it would. So for everyone at home, we had a altar, sort of like an altar spellcrafting workshop, which I led, and I thought was going to be really boring because it was basically just me talking at people for an hour. Rather than normally I like lead the spiritual rituals, which I love doing that. But spellcrafting is more hands-on. It's like getting people to like make their own tools and, you know, sort of like helping people develop their craft, which is really important. And actually in the process of building those workshops, I learn a lot as well because I do a lot of research. So that's really important for my growth as well. But I thought it was going to be really boring, and it was so beautiful to see everyone go away and be like, I've got ideas. I know exactly what I want to do.
I felt so inspired.
And seeing the pictures come up as well. And everyone's spaces look so different. You know, we've got people that spread their altar across like different areas of the room, so it's not in one location. We've got a friend or a coven sister who has an altar just in her bathroom because ritual baths are really important to her. We've got kitchen witches that have like ritualistic spaces in their kitchen where they're hanging herbs, and it's just amazing. It's
beautiful.
And it's such a way to kind of like express yourself as well.
Definitely.
So I love seeing you develop.
I know. And I was like, I've got this idea and I've got this idea.
But I've got like a series of photos of development where you're like, you started with like phase 1 and then by the end of the week you're like, it's still not finished, but this is it.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's still not finished now. Like there's still things that I'd really like to do with my space, but I feel so much more, I'm going to say like at one with my space.
Yeah.
Because like, I feel like it's part of me in a way.
Well, it is, yeah.
It's that
and you created it.
representation of me and my practice.
Yeah.
So tell us about what so you took yours from being something that you built.
Mine, again, I think mine is a little bit like la eclectic, like this and this and this. So it's
that is part of finding your way.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
So mine is I just I think mine is quite an ode to Brigid as well. I've got 2 kind of Brigid candles because I love her, and it's very fire based. I think loads of candles on it. I've got one big candle. Solar witch. She is a solar witch. La la la.
But you actually had a vision of Brigid.
I have a vision. Yeah,
and she's the bringer of light. She's the deity that wears the candles on her head. She's the bringer of spring.
Wow. I love the way that this is all coming to light.
Wow.
In this podcast.
Welcome everyone.
I feel like you're just like I'm brainwashing you actually.
Toni the brainwasher now.
Well, I was saying to Steph, I think I'm leaning to the hearth. And
well,
then,
that's fire as well, you know.
Like, is it hearth? Is it kitchen? Is it sort of in this lovely? And then
but you're not a very indoorsy person.
No,
like you seem to come to life when you're outside. And you know, with
like,
your dogs and foraging and
you got quite in touch with the season.
Yeah, and I love that.
Shifts.
And I have to say, this year, for the first time, actually really connecting with Yule and then leaning into that. It was like it was like the first time I haven't gone like, oh, New Year, how horrible, because I was like, woohoo. Like,
it really changes your perspective.
Oh my God, yeah.
Totally.
Also, embarked's become one of my favourite Sabbats, you know, because I've always been, I'm always a Samhain person. Like I love autumn. I love everything about autumn. I got married in autumn, blah, 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 blah. And I've always kind of like felt very comfortable in the colder months, but something being in the coven, I never ever enjoyed January, February, March time. It was always a really glum period of having no money and it being really dreary weather. Yeah. Something about embracing in bulk has just like made it the most beautiful, that quiet stirring of like plants under the soil and, you know, that soft candlelight and that like going inward and being reflective and just, you know, thinking about the past year and what you want it's just so profound to me.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And also like with your Brigid and you know, potentially like hearth witchcraft and everything. I think the thing with solar witchcraft is it's to do with the fire within, you know. So
I've got a lot of fire.
So it's wherever the fire is, whether it's in the sky or it's in the hearth or it's on the candles. You know,
that's right.
Just drawn to all of the fire, basically.
Yeah.
Solar witch. Yeah, the solar witch.
Cackle.
Maniacal. Oh goodness! Most of this podcast is going to be laughing. Have you guys ever faced any backlash from friends and family or social media?
We've had quite a few unfollows. I'm just like thinking about. I went to like a really just such a normie school. Just
a normie school.
Normie.
School.
Normie central. And I think that a lot of the people that I went to school with are probably a bit weirded out. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure some of the people I went to school with are a little bit weirded out.
Some of them have they love it. And they're like, you know, we've reconnected. And that's been really lovely to find that there's more people attracted to it that I've known for a long time. And actually people that I probably wasn't really very good friends with, but now we've kind of connected over this, you know, shared subject. But I haven't really experienced much backlash apart from the fact that my social media looks a little bit dark. And, you know, my mum has said, oh, you know, like my mum's really starting to lean into her witchcraft. She's a green witch.
Oh, lovely.
And like her parents are. And where was I going with this? I think that my mum has said to me, I worry a little bit about what people think when they see your social media.
Right.
So that's the main thing. And actually even my best friend last night said to me, your social media is a bit spooky. Like it even spooks me out. And she's like proper like the devil metal, you know. And that was like quite interesting for me to hear. She was like, I love it. I really, really love it. But like, I even think it's a bit creepy. And I'm like, that's just not the way that I view it. Nothing about what I do is negative.
No. It's so interesting, isn't it? That people kind of just look at it on face value.
Yeah.
They can't see past it.
Yeah.
And see what it actually
I mean,
really
I think
is.
I've probably only done 2 things that would be considered not well, they were positive for me. They weren't so positive for the other people. But I banished someone that was bringing a lot of grief into my life. But that doesn't mean that they went to hell or anything. I wanted them out of my life.
Yeah.
And they stayed out, you know. So that ended. That was our not magic session actually. And amazingly, they've stayed away. So that worked very well. And
see, I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, but some people do view it as being like dark magic.
Right.
I just don't.
I think that's energetic for me.
It's not like you're wishing them any harm.
No.
You just don't want them to be part of your life.
Yeah.
I think that's
Karmic
fine.
retribution would be nice. You know, no, I'm joking. I just desperately didn't want them in my life anymore. They were just causing a lot of grief, and I felt that it was negative for both of us. This is not a recent thing. It's something that happened a few years ago, and the person has stayed gone. And I just remember I went for like a Christmas, or we would say Yule, but went for like a Christmas meal with with some of my friends. And one of them said, "Oh, it's really interesting. You know, they've just disappeared, and I haven't heard anything from them." And I was like, "Well, my spell worked then. I am a powerful witch, and my spell worked." And they were a little bit creeped out by that, but no, I haven't personally experienced any very negative stuff.
So you haven't had any like messages from like random people or anything?
No, not at all. How
So
about you?
I have had a few messages from randoms. Trying to think of one of them. It was, "Oh, you're inviting demons into your life," was one of the...
These are the demons.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. Toni and Lizzy.
Hello.
And I can't remember what the other one was.
I'm trying to think.
Have you had anything?
I've had a couple of people saying, "Well, you know, be careful what you're getting into," and I said, "Careful what I'm getting into," and I think it is that I am Satan's best friend. And I'm like, no, yeah, he's not my best friend. But I think it is that, again, just a misconception. Just a total...
We've got a whole episode on misconceptions.
Yeah, this is for another time. But I think I've had...
The only people that believe in Satan are Christians.
Yeah,
correct.
Very true.
Not even Satanists. Come back for the next episode.
Yes. Come back to find out more.
So I've had... like my brother was very sweet about it, actually, because he's very Catholic and my mum's very Catholic. And he came into my house and he was like, oh. And
What's going on here?
And he said... Do you pray to Satan? And I went, "No, Bernard." I was like, "No, I don't pray to Satan. Sort your life out." And then he was like, "I'm only joking." But there was an element of like fear, of real fear. But I've never had anyone comment online. It's only people sort of saying, "Oh, like, you know, hope you're all right." Like, yeah, no, I'm fine. It's all good. Because for me, it's like I've never met a more sort of kinder, more inclusive practice in my life. Because one of the things I did struggle with, even though, you know, organised religion, yes, it's really beautiful and it works for so many people, it also really, it cuts out so many people, and it sort of makes people feel like, oh, there's something wrong with me, and I'm not a part of this. So that's why I find it hilarious, or the irony that this is so like inclusive and helpful, but it looks scary. So people are like, "Oh, well, that's very scary."
It's all about like honouring and being guardians of the environment, you know, which couldn't be more positive and respectful.
So going to sort of life today, like, what do you think the relevance of witchcraft in today? I know that, Toni, you don't like the phrase modern witchcraft.
But like a tale.
That was much better.
But yeah, what do you think the relevance of witchcraft is today for...
That's a good question.
Connectedness.
Yeah.
And I think in a society that is so disconnected, you know, so self-obsessed, self-involved about self-development, you know, not even really self-development, but in like I was explaining before, trampling over each other to get to the top, to earn the most money, to own all these things. I think it's about connecting to other people, connecting to the environment.
I think also we have so much technology now. I think it's going back to our roots. It's going back to learning about nature, the cycles, the rhythms of life, essentially.
But in a way, technology has also been a positive thing for witchcraft, because
100%,
that's how we've connected with our coven online.
I'm not saying it's a negative
No.
thing.
I know that that's not what you meant, but I think that often in witchcraft, it's about disconnecting from the internet, which is really important. But I think also there is a lot to be said about how accessible information has become now. Even like the important information that we want to educate ourselves on, it's become so accessible. And I think that, you know, it's allowed us to connect with people across the planet. I was like, what word am I looking for? But you know, we've got coven sisters in America and Spain and, you know,
Germany,
Orkney, you know, and we wouldn't be connected with them if it wasn't for the internet. And I think
is it amazing they came searching as well? I think that's amazing.
And they found us.
They found us. Yeah. But I think that the relevance of it today is to go back to your roots and to kind of reconnect with the environment and learn. Like, why do we learn about such crap in school? We should be learning about plants that grow in our local area and how we can forage them and make food for ourselves. Why, you know, make medicine for ourselves, make medicine for our neighbours, you know, exchange and share knowledge. And I think that's what witchcraft is about. And like we said before, about empowering ourselves to live a more intention-based life rather than just bumbling along thinking that things are happening to us. I'm so unlucky because these things are happening to me. Take charge of your life and, you know.
Agreed. Totally.
Good things will come to you.
Good things will appear.
But not love and light.
We'll get back to you next episode.
Get
on
back
that
to
one.
us on love and
honesty.
So much
not
to come.
love and light.
I love it.
Maybe I will take that dram of whiskey now.
I'm gone.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Community, I think, obviously, that, I mean, it stems into connectedness, like you said, but also healing that witch wound that women have had.
When is it going to go away?
I know.
It's not going to go away when we've still got these systems that are so patriarchal. Like our health system, you know.
Oh, my word.
Again, this is probably another podcast episode, but you know, they weren't even collecting data from women, like health data from women, you know, since the 90s. That's when they started collecting it, and all of the sort of like data has been collected based on reproduction, so not really on anything to do with like women's health issues. So, I mean, we've got so many of these patriarchal systems, and we still have this witch wound with other women where we're trying to one-up each other and we're pointing the finger and throwing people under the bus.
Totally.
And I think the beautiful thing about witchcraft is it's about lifting each other up, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's about empowering each other. And that's what I love about the coven is, you know, again, another episode, but like that kind of, that maternal feeling that we have to other women, and it not having to be giving birth to children.
Exactly.
You know? I feel maternal. I don't have any children. I'm in my mid to late 30s now. I'm not sure that I intend to have any children, but I still feel maternal.
Yeah.
And I feel that
maternal
within the coven. You know, I want to help women through their trauma and help them develop their craft. And people are helping me too. And I think, that sisterhood
I feel exactly the same as you.
I know you do.
Yeah, I know.
Because we talk about it
all the time. But I think we all of us don't have kids, do we?
Yeah.
So.
I mean,
down with the patriarchy.
Down with the patriarchy. Just have dogs. Very nice.
Dogs.
But I was talking to Steph about that. The exact same thing. Exactly what you've just said yesterday. We were just talking about it. And
we were talking about it yesterday too.
It's fresh in the mind.
It is.
And a friend of mine said something. It was so beautiful. So we were talking about, you know, that I don't have kids. I'm 40. Oh God, here we go. And he was saying that he said, "Well, you're a mother to loads of other people. You don't have a child, but that's because you're a mother to so many other people." And I thought, wow. I said, that's great. I was like, yeah, that makes.
It's very fulfilling, isn't it? You feel content because this society makes you feel like you're not complete because you haven't had a child.
Correct.
You haven't hit these societal
goals,
milestones. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, we have, just in our own way.
in a different
Exactly.
way.
And I feel, knowing that, I feel fulfilled that I'm maternal and that I have maternal feelings. I just maybe don't have them to really tiny children.
Yes.
I don't not like them. I just like them for shorter length of
And
time
when
than
they're
most
very
people.
quiet.
When they're very quiet and little quiet. No, I'm joking. Like, I'm fine with kids, but like, I don't necessarily feel like I want my whole identity to change and become about looking after a little child. I'd rather look after lots of 20-year-old women
Yeah.
with shots, with tequila.
Well, I think you both really came into, another episode with the Coven. But when we all met in person at the Samhain retreat,
Yeah.
because I think that was, you were both being incredibly maternal to this group of women.
Well, you kind of have to be, because
Yeah.
there's a responsibility. Like, we talk about this all the time, Toni and
Yeah.
I, that we feel a responsibility to make sure that everyone feels safe.
Yeah.
And everyone feels
Spiritually safe,
Yeah.
emotionally safe, like
Yeah.
held in that space. That it's massive lack of responsibility in this area of work from other practitioners, where they kind of allow people to open up these wounds and then they don't hold them through the process. And so we went into that space knowing that we had to say it out loud, but actually be really aware of how people were responding to the work that we were doing.
Yeah.
But interestingly enough, that was our first retreat that we led, and it wasn't stressful.
No,
Like, when we were
absolutely
there,
gorgeous.
it wasn't stressful. It was really beautiful. Didn't have that like feeling of weight on our shoulders. We're just like so zoned in on what was happening, and nothing outside our little yurt mattered. You know, it was just what was happening in that
being
space.
together.
It was so
Yeah,
wonderful.
it was really
Just
nice.
it was just beautiful. And it was really, I think the other thing I loved about it was really gentle. That's the other thing I love as well about Witchcraft. It's very gentle. There was like a real kind, gentle, loving, supportive,
Yeah.
I get very worried when I see as sort of like some like breathwork releasing trauma things that are posted and people are screaming and shouting and
I love it.
I get really
love
worried
it.
about their nervous system. I'm
I
like,
am
"Your nervous
so
system."
ready to release the rage.
I swear I saw
get
something something recently, someone advertising that sort of work.
I sent something to you like
Oh,
2
it was
days
you.
ago.
Oh, there we go. It was you,
Where
yeah.
women were like bashing the
Bashing the
ground and they were
ground.
like releasing feral anger. I love it, but I'm into metal. You know,
Yes.
and for me, metal music is a massive release. Like, everyone's like, "Why do you listen to that loud,
Because it
shouty
releases.
music?" And I'm just like, "Primitive Tony's coming out. He's gonna get naked and stamp on the
It's
ground."
like 50
and-
Shades of Toni.
yeah, no, there's something very. I mean, like, there's something. Oh, I'm feeling it now. But
Spicy.
there's something about like releasing
Release.
that,
Yes.
like that reverberation, that like resonance within your body. That's why singing is such a release.
it.
And you
Oh,
love
yeah.
to sing.
I love
Me
singing.
too.
Don't you just love to
actually.
belt sometimes?
Yeah,
Like really,
just go, "Ah."
really sing.
Yeah.
And
100%.
you know, it's a similar sort of thing, but it's like this, like really, not primordial is not the right word. Probably like primitive, like, you know, this primitive kind of like need to release
All that.
energy in your body that is not good for you. Actually,
Yes.
people that suffer with anger, this is probably what it is that I have a lot of anger issues
Yeah.
to do with my childhood. And I think that metal music, like going to these big like metal, like moshy shows and stuff like that, and seeing that stuff online, that is healing to me. And it's not healing for everyone,
Yeah.
but it's like when that energy gets stuck in your body,
And you want to.
it gets suppressed and it's really bad. And that's how we get disease. Dis-ease. Everyone says that. That's how we get disease, because the energy gets stuck in your body and it manifests there and it comes out in you know, histamine responses and all these different things. And I think sometimes the answer is to shout and smash the ground.
To be fair, when I used to play gigs and I used to play electric guitar in
Drums as well.
female
Yeah.
band, and when we used to play shows, it's such an amazing release. Like, you felt amazing.
Euphoria afterwards. Yeah, that kind of like lightness, that like floating on clouds.
Yeah.
But you know, you get it with like people that go to the gym, people that go like
whatever.
running, because they're physically releasing that energy. It's so important to move our body.
Yes.
I hate to move my body, by the way. I hate the gym. I hate to run.
It's so important, but we hate it.
Yeah, you do.
But I do it in a way that I like, and that is moshing.
Yeah.
No, I do it not like I really like Pilates, you know, it's not for everyone, but like, and I really like somatic movement.
I've been doing a lot of
swimming.
I'd quite like to get more into actually like some sort of dance movement.
Yes, dance. I really want to get. I have been dancing recently, and Tom's my husband, walked in the kitchen the other day, and I was like doing this weird snake move, and I just stopped, and he looked at me, and he was just like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "You're doing a weird dance." And I was like, "Yes, I was."
And then you carried on. Snake movement.
It just felt like I wanted to be all like sneaky,
But
you know?
that's what I encourage people to do actually in the new moon ceremonies.
I
And
know,
when we
it's
do our
great.
little like awakening of the
Yeah,
body.
I love
And then
it.
sometimes like actually just move however you want to move and just release that energy.
You've literally, when we're talking about learning from each other, you've made me fall in love with the new moon, because it was something that I was not aware about in the beginning. You just aren't really, like, everyone's going on about the full moon and it's illuminating beauty because it is beautiful. But actually, for me, I resonate so much with like action and plan making and movement, and not exercise movement, but you know, some kind of movement. And you're the one that made me find that love of the new moon. So it's just so beautiful. Like I can be leading lots of things, but I learn so much from you as well all the time. It's such a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's beautiful.
I think I do love working with the new moon. I think it's incredible. Just to set those intentions and have something in mind that you want to manifest or that you want to work through in that period of time.
Get busy with your hands.
And then you can
making
do all the
things.
nice releasing and illumination on the full moon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we may have come to the end of our podcast, our first podcast.
Did we cover everything in one episode?
What I was going to say is what do you see the vision of this podcast being? Collectively, as a collective, what do we see the vision being for the podcast?
I think the vision of it is to be real, is to show
Be real.
Hey, it's to show that that we're three real witches, practicing witches in our real life, day to day, and there's no mask with it. It's real, and look how you can live your life and enjoy your life and still be you. Because I think a lot of people think when spirituality or anything comes into it, they turn into someone else. But this is real, grounded work, and I think that's the tone of the podcast. That's how I see it.
That's nice. I like that. That's not what I think, but I do think it a little bit. I mean, I guess I kind of thought about it as, you know, I think that development comes through conversation, and I saw it as a beautiful opportunity to learn more from two witches that I love and want to spend time with and want to learn more about. And through that conversation, hopefully I will learn more about myself too.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
What about you, Steph?
I feel like this podcast is just going to be a beautiful way of educating, sharing our knowledge, but also connecting with, you know, you guys. Hopefully, like, you'll be able to ask us questions, you'll be able to share your knowledge with us, and that will spur us on to create new episodes. So yeah, I just feel like it's the start of something quite special.
Beautiful.
I hope so.
Yeah. But yeah, so thank you guys for joining me. I think it's been an incredible first episode of the Embracing Magick podcast. Please do follow along, and we'll be with you soon for another episode.